Let's talk a bit about Rintarô for a moment. I'll be discussing the feature film or feature-length works from Rintarô today, which begins with the feature-length renditions of the phenomenal anime series called Galaxy Express 999, a film that Noel Oakeshott once described as heresy in lieu of the original anime series, but I also happen to have been a major admirer of the series prior to seeing this Rintarô film, and I found the film to be rather admirable personally. As with the 1981 feature, Adieu Galaxy Express 999, Last Stop Andromeda, also directed by Mr. Rintarô. In 1983, you have Harmageddon, one of the more interesting anime works of the 80s, and one of Rintaro's finest and most recognized works, an indicator of the great projects which will come over the next 2 decades or so. Rintarô would direct or assist in the direction of 2 feature-length works based off of his mentor's seminal manga and life's work, the Hinotori series by the major visionary Osamu Tezuka, the father of both manga and anime within Japan. In 1986, he released Hinotori Hu Hen, which translates to Phoenix Karma Chapter, which Noel Oakeshott championed and could not wait to screen for me back when we were like 19 or 20. Rintarô then also co-directed with Yoshiaka Kawajiri Hinotori Uchu Hen, aka Phoenix Space Chapter, a feature-length anime which was released for next year in 1987. He contributed one of the 3 segments along with Kawajiri and Katsuhiro Otomo to the quite classic 1987 anime anthology sci-fi flick called Neo Tokyo. He directed an hour-long OVA titled Download Devil's Circuit, which I discussed on this channel not long ago and which I highly recommend all of you check out if you are at all interested in it. But perhaps the most well-known or one of the most celebrated of Rintaro's features is this, a 2001 adaptation of the classic Fritz Lang sci-fi feature Metropolis, an anime take on the work which Rintarô himself claimed was channeling the spirit of his now deceased legendary mentor Osamu Tezuka himself. Now you might be thinking that this anime was more of an adaptation of Tezuka's 1940s manga of the same name, Metropolis, rather than the Fritz Lang 1926 film. And it is true that not only has the 2001 film been noted as sharing more similarities with the Lang film than Tezuka's manga had, that Tezuka himself had claimed that the only inspiration he got from Fritz Lang's Metropolis was a still image from the film where a female robot was being born, and also that the anime feature took a lot of liberties from the Tezuka source material more generally. This suggests that Rintarô was attempting to reanimate the Lang film via Tezuka's iconic art design and aesthetics, though inevitably taking some degree of inspiration from Tezuka's own Metropolis, perhaps in name only manga series also, filling in where he could do no better than Tezuka, where composing a lavish, advanced, futuristic, and immensely technological, sprawling city was to be concerned. Metropolis 2001 is a delightful viewing experience. It would have made you really optimistic about the future in 2001 itself, and when I first viewed it as an old DVD rental in 2015, it made me optimistic about my future then. What an absolute fool I was. By the next year, any indication of optimism was disintegrated forever, and the old optimistic feelings from the 60s through to the 90s were kind of exposed as delusions born of some degree of post-World War II war prosperity, and that the bleak view of human nature or existence prior to the 60s or 40s was a more apt view for humanity and humanity's progress than any idealism which was spreading among us in the latter half of our 20th century. It is a stellar feature, and I recommend it to you all. If you love Ghibli films, you will certainly love this. It arguably does Ghibli and Miyazaki better than most of their films due to channeling the big granddaddy of all those artists, that being obviously Mr. Osamu Tezuka himself. Forgotten now due to being released in May 2001 and not fitting in with the subsequent pessimism and internet-based ruthless edgelordism which took over the culture of the 2000s as an emotional self-defense mechanism, Metropolis by Rintarô is ripe for rediscovery and one of the best anime features of all time, and certainly that have been released in this 21st century thus far. Thank you all, be as well as you have ever been. I hope you have enjoyed the screen caps presented in here in this video upload.